Okay, so a few days ago at D23, we got a new trailer for Avengers Doomsday, and in today's video, we're going to be going through it. I'm going to be unpacking my thoughts on all of it, so let's go ahead and dive into the trailer right now.
Victor was always the smartest guy in every room.
Okay, so just to start off, number one, I love how Doctor Doom's throne room looks here. Just, you can see his magic down here, and then you have the stained glass up behind him, which I just think looks amazing. The way the light shines through it, the attention to detail. I just think it looks really, really cool. And then you have Doctor Doom sitting on the throne, and then you also have Sue's line down here. Victor was always the smartest guy in every room, which I think is a really interesting line. And a really interesting way for Sue Storm to describe Victor, and I'm really excited to see how Avengers Doomsday explores the shared history between the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. And from what we learn in this trailer, there is some shared history there where they knew him long before this part of his life, and I think that's interesting. It kind of alludes to something that happened to him before when he changed. Okay, and let's keep on going.
He used to be different.
And okay, this doesn't really mean anything, but I just really like how the Marvel Studios logo looks here with the the green light shining behind it. I just think that looks really cool. Anyhow.
He used to be kind. He used to be caring.
And, okay, so this is an interesting detail. It cuts to Sue Storm's face, and we can see a tear rolling down her face, and, you know, she's getting really emotional talking about him, and how he used to be different, he used to be kind, he used to be caring, again, clearly displaying that shared history between the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom, but to the point, they knew him before, and that he'd had some sort of change. Something changed him. So I'm really curious to see what that's going to be in the film, and I'm just really excited to see that dynamic between the Fantastic Four and Doom, between Sue and Victor, and then between Reed and Victor. And we get to see more of Reed and Doom later on in the trailer, but I just think this is a really interesting detail, and I'm really excited to see what they do with this in Doomsday. Okay, this is a new look at Magneto, and this is really cool. Okay, I really like his look here, and he looks to be beaten up. You know, his face looks bruised. He's wearing like a sling of some sort, and yeah. Then you have Gambit over here. And then you have Steve. And my guess is this takes place in Steve's house. Just judging by, I mean, this right here, this window and the curtain and everything. And then the other two shots we saw. And something I think is really interesting, something I'm very, very curious about, is because, right, so in the first teaser that we got for Avengers Doomsday of Steve Rogers, he was completely clean-shaven, shorter hair, but then here, and even in the first trailer, he has this beard, his hair is quite long, and so I'm very curious to see what that means between the Steve Rogers that we saw in that teaser and the Steve Rogers that we have seen in these two trailers. Okay, I just think that's a really interesting detail, and yeah. Very curious. Okay, I absolutely love this shot. This shot is beautiful, okay? So right back here, you have his throne room, and also you have this chandelier above it. I think that's really cool. Just his whole throne room, just awesome design, okay? Awesome production design. And then you have the light from the stained glass shining through even more into this next room. You have all the different light fixtures, and then you have this giant portrait hanging up on the wall. And I think it's really interesting that this trailer pays even more focus to this portrait, because back when the first trailer came out, they also released a poster of Doctor Doom standing in front of this exact portrait, so it clearly means something, and I'm very curious to see what it does mean. We see Doctor Doom down here touching it, and also this scene just has a really nice sense of scale where you have, you know, the size and scale of his fortress, of this portrait, and then you have him down here putting his hand on it, and something I'm really excited to see in Doomsday, and I'm really excited to see it just because of what we have gotten thus far, is the production design and how they're going to make Latveria look, and even just like Doctor Doom's fortress. I'm really excited to see how all of that looks in the film. I think it's going to look awesome, especially from what we have seen here thus far.
Everything he loved was taken from him.
And oh my gosh, I also love this shot here because, you know, though his face is almost completely covered by a mask, the little bit you can see right here is he's able to convey so much emotion, even though so much of his face is covered by that mask. And also, I just love how the light like shines down on him. You can see the green right here. I just think it looks amazing. And also, we get to see more detail on the mask. And okay, so it cuts to this specifically on the portrait of this young kid and this woman right here. And my theory is that this is Doctor Doom, and this is his mother right there, and then you have angels over here, and you have like this sort of fortress, like this castle, which I theorize is Doom's castle. And I'm really excited to see how this movie explores Doctor Doom's backstory and what made him into this villainous force that we see in Doomsday that's going up against all these characters, because I really do think that is what this trailer is setting up. It's setting up this past for the character before what we are seeing now in the film. You know, where Sue is talking about how he changed, he used to be kind and caring. You know, we're seeing this portrait with what appears to be Doctor Doom and his mother. So, you know, just really digging into his past and his backstory and really building out this take on the character, which I'm very excited to see.
I knew he was lost.
Okay, and here we have a shot of John Walker and Baku, Shuri. You have Shang-Chi over here, and then you have Namor. And I just want to say, okay, like we saw him in the first trailer as well, but it is just so nice to see Shang-Chi on screen again, and I am so excited to see him in Avengers Doomsday because I absolutely loved Shang-Chi. Like, that was just an amazing movie. But anyways. Oh wait, also still has the bent shield, as we can see right here, which I think is funny. Then we have Thor.
Not realize that he was broken.
And okay, so you have Doctor Doom right here, but over here, okay, you can see this. There's somebody else over here, and it's a cloak. I think this is the Latverian witches.
That he was broken.
And I'm very excited to see how they play into Avengers Doomsday and what Doctor Doom is doing in the film. And also, I just love how we get to see more detail of Doctor Doom's suit right here. And I just love his design in Doomsday, just from what we have seen thus far. Honestly, I would consider it to be like a top 3 comic book movie character design of like all time, just for me personally, where I just love the detail on the armor. I love how it looks, just all the nice little bits of detail. I just think it looks absolutely amazing. And yeah, so then Sue mentions that she didn't know that he was broken, and again, just alluding to this past and what made him into who he is currently. And I'm excited to see how the film explores him. Okay, so we saw that one right there, and then we go back here, slow it down, because behind the first cloak we saw another one, which again just makes me think it's the Latvian witches, which got revealed at San Diego Comic-Con at one of the displays. Right, because you have the first one right here, and right there there's the second one, and then yeah, we can switch it back now. Just wanted to share that. and you can even see kind of like a third one like back here. But I love this design right here on the floor. It again just makes me really excited to see like the design for like Doom's like fortress and even for like Viria as a whole. We get to see a better design at like his cape, like clasp, like his chain. I think it's just really, really nice. I think it looks awesome. We get to see some design on like the shoulder plate right here. And then we get to see his cloak covering his mask. And I just think this looks awesome. It's really, really cool. And right here, this has caused a lot of discussion online, and a lot of people are speculating that this could very well be Tobey Maguire's New York City, okay, from that take on the character, and that would be insane. Like, that would actually be wild, and it's gotten a lot of traction online. And, yeah, that would be wild, but I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with this, because we know the incursions are happening, but just, like, whose New York City is this, okay? Very, very curious. They could do a lot of different things with that, but if it actually is Tobey's New York City, that would be insane. And also, just saying, okay, if Zoran Mamdani was here, this would have never happened, but anyhow. Just really great delivery from Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. And okay, so right here. Alright, so the green's a little bit faded in his eyes, which I find to be interesting. But also, again, even though his face is mostly covered by a mask, there is still so much emotion just conveyed just through his eyes and the look he is giving to Reed. Because, I mean, think about it, right? Doctor Doom is doing all of this, okay? And he doesn't know any of these people, okay? And because he's trying to do something, so all these other characters that are trying to fight him are just things that are in his way of his goal. But the Fantastic Four, Reed and Sue, they bring a sort of like personal element to what Doom is doing, and adds another layer to his character and just like the stakes of it all. And I'm really curious to see what they do with that in Doomsday. And just the look he's giving Reed here is just so great. I'm so excited to see what RDJ does with the role. And like, people were complaining when RDJ got cast as Doom, but like, from everything we have seen so far, we have no reason to doubt that RDJ could be great in the role. And he's a great actor, so I bet he will be. And he's been doing a lot of like creative control with the role, with the voice and everything, and that's turned out well. I think the voice is great, but also it's like within the performance, I think he's gonna be able to do so much, really well. And yeah. Okay, and this is actually a shot we saw in the first trailer between Scott and I forgot his daughter's name, but she was in Quantumania. Anyhow, this is a shot from the first trailer. Here we have Johnny Storm and Franklin, and this is also another shot from the first trailer, but I am still so curious to see what's going on here, because we can see in the background, it is just light. It's very, very bright, and I'm just very curious to see what's going on here. Here we have a quick shot of Xavier. We have another shot of Magneto right here, where we can see we can't tell what this background is, but we can see on his face that there's a tear coming down his face, and we get to see him in his helmet, which looks cool, and I'm very curious to see what's going on here. But yeah, we get another look at Magneto, this time in his helmet, and we can see something is happening, something crazy is happening, because there's a tear rolling down his face, so I'm very curious to see what's going on there. And I also think it's an interesting design choice to have him have longer hair here. I think it's really cool, and yeah. Okay, see, I want to make another point with this shot here. So this is Steve Rogers with his baby. And again, look, clean shaven, shorter hair. This is not the Steve Rogers that we saw in the first trailer and earlier in this second trailer. So I'm very curious to see what happened, okay, between this right here and where we see him in the trailer. Alright. And yeah, also I think it's interesting where what Doom is mentioning here, where he's like, you guys have lived stolen lives, right? It shows Steve with his baby, which that one is pretty self-explanatory, where, right, he went back to live a life with Peggy that wasn't his life. He went back to do that. So I guess that is technically a stolen lives, right? Then it also shows Thor with his daughter. And I'm not really sure what that means. But and then it also showed Ant-Man or Scott with his daughter. And so, again, tying back to my point earlier,
Victor,
where
did you do
Doom
this?
views all these people as obstacles, things he has to defeat, things that are getting in his way of what he's trying to do. But the Fantastic Four, again, adds that personal element of what he's trying to do. And I think that's going to be really, really interesting to see how that just, like, unfolds. But I'm really curious to see what he means by, you all have lived stolen lives, and how that ties into his motivations and what he's trying to do. I think that's really, really interesting. Then we also see Loki right here, which, that makes sense, because, it happened in Endgame where he got out of there in that film, and that shouldn't have happened, and so that makes sense. And this is the same shot we saw of him in the first trailer. I think it's interesting that they decided to show the same shot of Loki that we saw in the first trailer, as to not give away much of what he's doing in this film, which I'm very curious to see what happens to him. He's probably gonna die. I'm gonna be completely honest, because the only character more powerful than Doctor Doom here is Loki, the god of stories. I mean, he's going to be coming after that, and we know that he will be attacking the TVA, or at least it's been heavily speculated, so it would make sense for him to unfortunately die. But anyhow. And then here we have Shuri, we have Ghost, and then we have Joaquin Torres, and yeah, they're in this place that is either the Fantastic Four ship, or it's the TVA. Really, really not sure, though. And then we have another shot of Cyclops right here, which, if I had to guess, this is in the X-Mansion when he was fighting those Sentinels, like we saw in the X-Men teaser for Avengers Doomsday. And again, I just love the comic accurate design here. It looks really, really great. And yeah, so I think right here is what you can see, like, the foot of, like, a Sentinel, and, yeah. And also, I absolutely love what RDJ is doing with Doom's voice here. Like, a lot of people have been complaining, oh, it sounds stupid, it sounds terrible, but no, I think it looks awesome. I think it sounds really ominous, and he's doing a lot of really interesting things, transforming his voice. But I want to go back here to where this moment begins, right after this. Right here, okay. He flies out of this window of this right here. I have no idea what this is. This is the same place that we saw. Yes. Okay, so right here, this is the same place as
All of you.
this place right here. Okay, and also, something I think is interesting is that this location right here is the same one where we got a set leak a while back. Here, I'll pull it up.
Have lived. Have lived.
Let's see if I can find it. Right here. So in this photo, okay, you see the window design right here, you have Joaquin Torres, you have the Thing, you have John Walker, and you have Shuri's foot right here. And if you see this design right here, this is the same exact one as this right here. And over in this picture, you have the Thing, you have Joaquin Torres, you have John Walker and Shuri, and obviously we saw in this trailer, in this area, the Thing isn't there. and John Walker isn't there, or at least they're not in that shot. So it makes me wonder if this is the Fantastic Four ship or something. I'm really not 100% sure. I'm very curious to see what this location is. But as we can see right here, this is like Doctor Doom's cape. So it makes me think that Doctor Doom is being thrown out of this. He's not jumping out of it. And if we slow it down, okay, make it go like all the way to like right here. Like, you know, I swear, there's like something. See, like again, right here, you can see his cape. Like this is not like his mask or anything. Like this is behind him. Like that's his cape and everything. So it makes me think he's being thrown out of it. But anyways, so then he does a bunch of flips. Okay, and he lands back down, and he's fully recovered from. If he was hit, he fully recovered by the time he hit the ground. And it's just like absolute aura. His landing is awesome. And also something worth mentioning is that this is a different suit for Doctor Doom than the one we saw earlier, which I think is interesting, that he has two different suits and how that plays into what he's doing, what's going on in the film, because obviously, right, you have his cape, like his clasp, his chain that went across this, but now it's just right here, and then he has this different thing across his shoulder, and then also the belt is different. And okay, so just to go back to that moment, this is legitimately incredible. Pedro Pascal is giving an amazing performance in this scene. His line delivery is chilling, just perfection. And you can tell the way he's talking to Victor. He calls him Victor, not Doctor Doom, not anything like that. And he's yelling at him. He's like, did you do this? You know, just a lot of emotion. He's able to really deliver that. And you can really tell that he knows Victor. And he can't believe that Victor would do something like this. And it's just perfect delivery. I'm really excited to see what's going on here. And, you know, people are really starting to do a 180 on Pedro Pascal's take on Reed Richards following this trailer, which I find really funny, because back when the casting was first announced of Pedro Pascal playing Reed Richards, people were like, oh my gosh, Pedro Pascal's in everything, this is gonna suck, whatever, he won't be good for the role. And then, right, the trailers came out, it's like, oh, it's okay, I don't know about it though. And then First Steps came out, and it's like, oh, he's not that great in the role, or whatever. And then the Doomsday trailer comes out though, and people are like, oh my gosh, I was wrong, he's actually great. Okay, but here's the thing. Since the casting announcement, I have been like, he is going to be great for this role. Then when First Steps came out, I was like, oh my gosh, he is literally Reed Richards. And this is, again, just perfection, okay? Pedro Pascal is legitimately one of my favorite, all-time, like, favorite actors. He's, like, so great. And he's really great here. And, yeah, able to deliver a lot of emotion. It's really powerful delivery. And, yeah, also, something worth mentioning is that Reed is holding on to Doom's hand here. And, you know, Doom would never let any of the other characters, like, get that close to him in any way. But, again, Reed being able to really shows that shared history between the Fantastic Four and Doomsday, and they're really excited to see how that plays into what happens in the film. And you have this scene from the first trailer where Thor lands to go fight Doom, and you can see a little bit of a sentinel back here and even right here.
I swear, you will beg for hell long before I grant it.
And now we get this line, you will beg for hell long before I grant it. Then he goes up to attack Doctor Doom. And again, like we saw in the first trailer, Doctor Doom just stops him in his tracks. And then, just really great stuff, okay? You see Thor using all of his power, and then Doctor Doom just lets out a little bit of his, and then he just knocks away Stormbreaker, kind of like knocks back Thor a little bit, And, you know, you have the blue and then the green from Doctor Doom clashing with that. Just really, really amazing attention to detail. And another thing in this shot, okay, aside from you get to see the Sentinel again, which I think basically confirms this takes place at the X Mansion, because we know the Sentinels will be attacking the X Mansion. And also, this kind of looks like an X, low-key. But also, this right here, okay, I am very curious to see what this is. Okay, this is what we saw earlier that Doctor Doom jumped out of. So I bet this is all going to be like a really big fight between Thor and Doom, which I think is going to be awesome. But anyhow, let's keep on going. And then, look at that. Look at that, okay? Doom just lets out a little bit of his power. And then, just slams Thor into that wall there. Like, that is... Wow, this is amazing. Wow. That is such a chilling delivery. Okay, that is so, so good. So ominous. Where Thor says, "You will beg for hell long before I grant it." Okay, really hard line. And then, Doom just responds, "Hell answers to me." Okay, like, that is actually just incredible, and RDJ is able to deliver it perfectly, which really just shows how effective that line delivery is and how effective his voice is. And anyways, so we see him unleash a lot of his power, and then we see him awaken the Sentinels, and you see the green eyes right there. Oh my gosh. Legitimately so peak, okay? Hell answers to me for I am Doom. That is just really, really incredible stuff. RJ delivers it perfectly. Just, oh my gosh, an amazing line. And, you know, we also get another, like, better look at Doom's design here. And I think, again, really, really great suit design. You also get to see the ribbon on his arm right there, which has some sort of significance. And you have the Sentinels behind him. And I just want to say that people were complaining, or are complaining, that Doctor Doom won't work as a villain. Because, oh, he doesn't have any build-up. But Thanos, he had all this build-up, he had all this stuff. But here's the thing. If you look at the reaction that not only this trailer, but the first trailer had, people are already, like, realizing and going crazy over this take on Doctor Doom. And are really getting an understanding of how powerful this character is and how cooked the other characters are going up against him. And, you know, it just does such a great job displaying how powerful he is, what a force he is against the other characters, and his power, and, you know. So, I think these two trailers and whatever we're going to get leading up to Doomsday have done a really great job of showing off his power. And, you know, they're saying, oh, well, he didn't have as much build-up as Thanos. Doctor Doom doesn't need that. At least in my opinion, from what we have seen so far. And, yeah. And yeah, so, this is an absolutely amazing trailer, and what I think it does really, really well is building out Doctor Doom. And I think what these trailers are going to do is do the setup that Thanos had across all those different movies, but do it in these trailers. And it's working. People are getting really hyped up. You know, right, you got in the first trailer, our first taste of Doctor Doom, and he just stops Mjolnir, I mean, not Mjolnir, he stops Stormbreaker in its tracks. Something that even Thanos had trouble going up against. And then, in this next trailer, we get to see that again, and then he has that really chilling line. Hell answers to me for I am Doom. Absolutely insane stuff. But, beyond that, okay, it also gives depth and layers to this take on the character. Where, like Sue mentions, he used to be different. Okay, he used to be he was the smartest man in every room. Like, just genuinely great, great stuff. And it does such a great job of building him up. Not only as this force for him to go up against, but also this villain with a lot of layers to him as well. And I'm very, very excited to see where this goes. And there were still a lot of people that watched this trailer and were complaining pretty heavily about it. And I don't get that. Like, I feel like if you have seen these two trailers and you are automatically calling it like absolutely horrible trash, then you just aren't engaging with the film on a good faith basis at this point. And you will just believe what you want to believe without actually judging the film on its own merits. Because I feel like, right, from what we have seen thus far, you can't automatically call out the film to be absolute trash or anything like that. Now, of course, the film could come out and end up being terrible. But from what we have seen thus far, I don't think you can really say that about it. At least in my opinion. And I think we just need to go in with an open mind and judge the film from that perspective, other than just automatically wanting to hate on it for no reason. And yeah, so this makes me really excited. Okay, I love how this is like really centered on Doctor Doom. But something I really like is like for the next trailer, for like what we get to see next, because like from what we have seen thus far with the last trailer and then this one, really building up Doctor Doom. But, like, I'd like it, like, if they were to, like, explore some of the other characters some. You know? And what's going to be going on with them and their conflict. Okay? But, yeah, I love what we're seeing thus far. Really, really excited. And, man, just going back to this, whose ever universe this is going to be just cooked. If it's Toby's, that would be wild. But it wouldn't surprise me. With the big swings that they're going to be taking in the film, you know, having to kill off some really big characters, introducing all these different worlds and these different characters, how they tie them all together, it makes me really, really curious, makes me really, really excited to see what they're going to do here with Doctor Doom and with the characters and how they tie all this together. But yeah, so, really sorry for the later video. But, yeah, so that's really about it. If you guys enjoyed today's video or any of my other content, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.